What is up, DTube? So today I want to talk about the concept of, or the theory of economic superiority of Hexers, or Hexicans, something that may happen. Now, we don't know if it's going to happen, but it's a theory. It can happen. So what is it? Economic superiority of Hexicans. The share price. If you study the share price, and if you listen to smart people about it, it looks like 555, or I mean 5,555 day guys and 3,000 day guys. It sounds like they're gonna do real well. And the hex contract, it's very interesting because the share price is very revolutionary here. It's not the price, it's the share price, because nobody almost understands it. Even smart people in the hex community barely understands it. So let alone like a random person. If I go to Hex Live and I see how long people stake, a lot of people seem to be making big mistakes, at least according to me, what I would do. Because it's like most of them seem to have a very short-term mindset, and it seems like they don't consider the share price at all. And the share price can create almost like this new class of humans that has massive economic superiority compared to other people in the world, and doing something that we've never seen in the past. Like, if they have so exponential economic power, they can do a lot of cool stuff that we have never seen in the world, and that's really cool. For Hexicans, the time speeds up. They are almost more experiencing an exponential world, something that maybe not the regular average Joe is experiencing if they are not aware of this and how the share price is going to work. So the share price alone on the big payday, November 19th, 2020, like the day after that, it's kind of like you're going to get half the shares for Hex, I think. Or 3x less or something like that. I mean, it's like some crazy amount. And that's just the first year, which I've heard should just be a blip in the share price compared to future years. So, yeah, I mean, the only way I can look at it, and like when I've looked at the performance of Hex in 6 months, if it already has cost, and it already has this like economic superiority where everything else in crypto kind of looks inferior, everything in traditional market even looks inferior, computing power is the game, man. Like computing power, whoever mastered computing power and game theory for that wins. It's that easy. So I see that the Hex Staker class is probably gonna win pretty hard, because I don't see how this can fail. Of course it can fail, everything can go to zero. Computers can fail, stuff can happen, right? The contract can fail, maybe a bug happens, who knows? But if everything works fine, I can only see this cause a massive FOMO eventually. And I just don't see anyone eventually then want to sell when they see the share price, when the share price is moving up. So I don't think people understand that this is actually very exponential. And usually when we quote numbers, probably quote them too small about the potentials. So there's no expectations, no promises. Hex is a complete project. But it's like at the same time, it's like the numbers are insane. Like when you really run the math. And even when you do like low numbers, low estimations, based on even the performance that you've seen in 6 months, it's like even when you do the low numbers, it still would create massive economic superiority and almost like a new breed of humans on this earth. Because they would be able to do so many cool things. that other people only could dream of doing, but they didn't have the economic power to do it. And there's also a bunch of other interesting stuff here, and that is like that makes this economic superiority of the hex staking class interesting, and that is that hexers have way more unity. And usually when people get rich in the normal world, they usually do it alone or maybe in a small team. But with this movement here, it's so much larger, because Hex smart contract creates so many tokens and such a large pie of tokens that it makes so a lot of people can get in. A lot of people can get a piece of the pie. And that's only because we can play with smart contract now, and you can program things, and you can program it to print more value. So it's really, really fascinating. And yeah, the only way I can see it is like this share price. It is gonna have this like massive compounding interest effect, and shares is going to become more rare than hex tokens, from what I've heard. Now I'm not a math expert at that, but that's what I've heard, that shares are gonna become way more scarce than what they are right now, and it may even be a share price supply shock or whatever, or price shock of the shares. It's something that I think that the hex is gonna make Bitcoin look like a blip on the radar, like a joke or like a parody. And even many of these other coins, they're gonna look like a parody, because it's like a computer that's using computing. And yeah, I mean, this hex smart contract is designed so well, and it's just going, man. It's just going being a immutable code on Ethereum, living on Ethereum. That code is just going, man. And even these other chains that people want to say that humans are doing that much on, for example, DPoS chains, a lot of it is just text. Even like when people are writing articles, most of them are very, very basic and not even that sophisticated. So it's like even a machine would be able to do that probably much more efficient and create much more value. Now, I still think video format, that is still where humans are kind of shining, but dude, I don't know, man, when like computers even get better and faster, and they can even do a bunch of stuff right now with video, which we're seeing on YouTube. You can fake a bunch of stuff and all this, but they can still not do it super well. But it's like, I know people that not many people are aware of it, but we are in the future going to have computers that can compute 1,000,000 times better than a human being, because what humans are mainly doing is computing. So if we can have a machine that can do that 1,000,000 times better, like come up with 1,000,000 times better idea than what a human being can come up with, I mean, obviously we can do something that create a new class of economically superior humans. And there's a lot of intelligent people just involved in the Hex community. I mean, if you really look at it, there is a lot of bright people there, and they're usually not about the drama. And you study other crypto communities, and they're way more about the drama, and they are also way more scattered around. They don't really work together that much, and they don't have a big Telegram group even. I mean, it's very interesting when you like study it. So I think it's gonna do this, and it's gonna be nice to see it kind of unfold. Because you still don't know exactly how it's gonna be, how people are gonna experience it, because this project like changes, like the way people are looking at it and the new people coming into it. It kind of changes from month to month, and there's almost every month now something really, really interesting going on with Hex. very, very fascinating to follow. And yeah, I just think it's a paradigm shift, which I talked a lot about in the past. That it's eventually gonna open up this window for more people to grasp these concepts of a rent and share age more. Not to sound too crazy, but it's kind of where it's going, right? Uh, yeah. So it's going to free up a lot of people, have way more free time to do what they really want to do, and a lot of people seem to want to be like volunteers for Hex, and like follow it and see how it goes, how the community goes, and yeah, it's just interesting. Uh, so a lot of people in other crypto communities, they're talking that they kind of are in it for the tech, but they probably want to make money. And the Hexers are just more honest with that. That they kind of realize, oh yeah, we really want to make money, right? So I think it really is the most exciting thing in crypto, Hex 2020, and most likely is going to be it even in 2021, which is kind of cool, right? Because I don't know exactly like what is actually good to have tokens around. Do we really need a token for everything, or should we just go with this like super basic? Because it all depends on prices, right? Like if something is like exponentially better than the rest, if X truly is exponentially better, and we eventually see that in price, and we see that nothing else can compete against it, probably we don't need tokens for a bunch of other stuff. Or probably we can see if we can even get better game theories for other projects. It probably would be a good idea. A good idea to see is like what works in the real world, and that's what the Hex contra or Hex founder did. They looked at what works in the real world and then copy that and put it basically in a smart contract, which was very smart. The other thing people can do is like see what people want, like listen to people and like learn and like innovate. And a great example of that is, for example, DTube with their Avalon blockchain, which is going to launch on July the 1st, which has learned a lot of lessons from being on Steam DPoS for since 2017, and sort of see the failures over there, what worked and what didn't work, and then like innovate and create something that's way better. So yeah, I think Hex will be able to create a new class of humans, economically superior, and I don't see anything else at the moment to be able to compete against this. Like even the XRP fanboys talking about liquidity and everything, that they're gonna do some value thing from that with their DLT product. I don't see it happening. I mean, the community is weak. It's just weak. Like it doesn't even come close to the Hex community, and all these other soy boy communities, none of them come close to the Hex community. Not even a little bit. Even the Bitcoin community, they're only talking about price. They also want the price to pump, right? But they just don't realize they don't have as good game theory as the Hex smart contract has. So they can't really compete against it. People can dump Bitcoin on whatever they want. It's also slower, and even the ETH community, I see a lot of the apps and stuff that they have, very lame stuff, most of it. Pretty boring stuff, to be honest. And it's not just that. I mean, it's cool. First, when I looked into the ETH community, they looked way smarter than Bitcoiners. But then when I saw how hostile they are to Hex, it's not that cool anymore. Because I know that it's like they kind of player haters. Which is kind of weird. It's not cool to be a player hater. And it's just weird. They should be happy about people doing 100x in Hex. So yeah, fascinating stuff to follow. Very, very fun. It's the most fun thing. Hex has been the most fun thing for me in crypto, to follow it, to be a part of the community, and to make videos about it, to make vlogs and stuff like that, and see how people really enjoy watching Hex videos. A lot of them has like a watch time of like 8 minutes, average watch time, which I think is pretty crazy, because usually you do not get those kinds of watch times on content on YouTube. It's usually just 2 minutes or something like that. So the retention rate is just amazing. And for me, it's very sad when I see these other communities. For example, Bitcoin community, they do not take care of like their fan base. They are way more scattered around, and when they do videos, they usually do just drama videos. So there's no kind of unity in the community, and a lot of people have left the project, which is usually not a good sign. When the cool people leave something that maybe are even competent, and then they leave to do their own things, and they don't and they do not want to associate with the Bitcoin thing, it's like, that's not that good, right? Because why do they not want to hang around anymore? Probably because the community has become lame. It's the same as I saw how Steam went from being kind of cool to kind of have a lame community. And now they are on this Hive chain, which is run by criminals, which I've done videos about. They took away coins from people, and the backbone is basically lost. And that's something I talked a little bit about in other videos, that DPoS has failed. EOS, Steam, Hive, they have failed so hard. We tried to do DPoS, but it wasn't really a good experience ever. But a lot of the people worked hard, and a lot of people are gonna be properly rewarded, because a lot of them has already moved on, especially video creators, to something better like DTube and DTC coins. And I think they're gonna be properly rewarded. And people are getting smarter all the time in crypto. It's just that you have to point out a lot of nonsense, and things has to take some time, it seems, because there's just a lot of stuff going on. People need better devices, people need better information, and we have so many centralized players and like incompetent people that are always trying to act like middlemen, or like trying to get in the way of people from going straight to the source of something. So me personally, I kind of enjoy Twitter, because I sort of feel that it goes more straight to the source. It's very easy to find information and kind of share information. And a lot of other platforms, it's just like, it's very hard. It feels, the place feels very hostile. And the only thing I like about YouTube these days is like, they have pretty good analytics, and they play videos pretty fast. But in the community perspective of like comments and stuff like that, they have failed pretty hard. They don't have any good game theory, and they're not working on improving it, and they don't even care. They don't care at all, and that's very sad. The Hex community cares, and yeah, it's just like, and they're just kinder, right? They're just kinder. So do Hexicans deserve all this economic power? I think they do. They have earned it. A lot of people have been part of the community a very long time, and they really want the best, and they really have a larger identity, many of them, and a lot of them have great ideas about the future and have interesting visions about what they want to do and so on. A lot of these other communities, they don't have that. They should convert and become a Hexer, because it's just better. Yeah, so that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. Have an awesome day, DTube.